Hey everybody, it's Josh with Built to Last. We're kicking this podcast off for a few reasons. One, I think it's important to educate consumers on, purchases and buying things they do. I want people to understand who I am as a business owner, how we run our business, and why we do the things that we do. So we started Mr. Handyman in 2020 after seeing a need in the Nashville area for skilled labor that could do the work, but also show up on time and, in a professional manner, show up in a uniform, in a marked vehicle, on time. Those things as a consumer, we just didn't see. In my past lives, I've run sales and installation teams for big box stores, for cabinet manufacturers, case makers, those types of things. So I've always been in one way or another the trades industry, whether it's from a sales side, a training side, a management side, just to have a good history in it. And I really saw a need in this market, and specifically in the handyman. We looked around at some different franchises and ultimately landed on Mr. Handyman for a few reasons. One's technology. We have some great technology that we utilize to service our customers. And inside that technology, we're adapting AI these days, and we're evolving with changes in the markets, specifically when it comes to the trades. One thing about this business, it is somewhat AI proof, but at the end of the day, we have to utilize it too. So we're constantly evolving on how we do installations, how we service our customer, and all these things. Through this podcast, I want to educate customers, as I said earlier, specifically on the buying process when it comes to the trade. So a lot of our guests you're going to see are going to be other members of the trades. In some areas, we cross over in work that we both do, but they're experts in their fields. They're people that I've gotten to know over the last few years that I trust and understand specifically what their specific field is. So it's about being able to get consumers better educated on asking the correct questions. Some of the things you'll see on upcoming episodes is what questions do you ask a restoration service specialist if your house just flooded? What questions should you ask a home builder if you're looking to build a home? We go into things like real estate. We'll go into things even as deep into life insurance, health insurance, right? Built to Last is just exactly what the name says. I started this company so that when I repaired things for customers, it was built to last. We honor that with our done right guarantee that we offer. A job's not done until it's done right at Mr. Handyman. So one of the things I'm really proud of is in 2026, we were able to bring my wife, Tanya, into the business, who brings a wealth of knowledge when it comes to specifically management, numbers, AI, understanding technology, and how far that's changing our business. And she just complements the already amazing team that I have. So she really does complement my team, specifically Lena, who's my office lead and does a great job of running the CSRs and making sure that we're getting job scheduled efficiently on the techs that can complete the job to the best ability. To Alex, our office Jedi, who manages that schedule, moves people around, and makes sure that all of our clients are getting taken care of. Part of the reason for starting this business was making sure we could get people taken care of. My previous job in the big box stores, part of it was going out and working with large volume customers who might have had an issue, and that was my job, was to address it. And I can't tell you how many times in one of those big box roles I got my hand slapped for doing more for the customer than what the company thought I should do. At the end of the day, that is the underlining reason why we came up with opening our own business and purchased the Mr. Handyman franchise. Is I want to take care of people. We want to do things correctly. We want to do things right. Team specifically exemplifies that. We've got a wealth of knowledge in our field with 9 current technicians out servicing the area, 8 residential, 1 commercial, specific technician out servicing in the field, and we're constantly growing. Our business services everything from Portland around to Clarksville down through Ashland City, Nashville, Franklin and Brentwood, Murfreesboro, West Nashville, Belmead, Bellevue, all those areas. So we have a pretty large area to cover. So specifically in one of the instances working for one of the big box retailers, I got a call from a customer, and we had just put half a roof on their house. So how and why we put half a roof on their house is still beyond me to this day. When they called me, they said the roof's 2 different colors, and I was taken aback for a second. I was like, how do you mean it's 2 different colors? They said, well, the front side and the back side of the roof are literally 2 different colors. So I drove out to the home out in Hendersonville and met with a customer and looked up, and sure enough, it was two different colors. And somehow, the contractor that had worked for that big box retailer at the time just told me, well, that's the color they picked. At the end of the day, we want shingles to match on the roof. So I took it back. Those big box retail environment, everybody has a boss. And I took it back to my boss and said, we need to rip this roof up and put down the correct color. Either way, whether we take the old one off or the new one off, either way, we need to get the other half right. Because we can't leave a customer like that. And I was met with some pushback, the overall cost of that and the things that went into it. And I understood the cost of it. I understood it very well. I've always understood a P&L. I know what costs are. I know what it's going to cost the company. But at the end of the day, it's the right thing to do for the customer. I ran into a few instances of that in my previous roles, and it just didn't leave me with a good feeling. They were not customer centric, even though some of them said that was their exact model was customer centricity. But they didn't understand customer centricity when it came to the service industry and the trades. It was $1 for them. Not to say people don't make mistakes. If I sat here and told you I've never made a mistake on a job and we've never messed anything up in 6 years of business, I'd be lying to you. It's not about making the mistakes. It's what's the company willing to do if they make a mistake. Companies like mine, we do what it takes to make it right. Our job is to leave you with a home that's better than when you gave it to us, right? Whether we're replacing a TV on a TV mount, we're painting, we're doing drywall, whatever that might be, decking repair. Our job is to leave the home in better condition than we found it. Big box retailers just didn't allow me to do that. Another great example of a time in my previous career, I was doing about $125,000 kitchen remodel. I was meeting with the clients pretty regularly. Wasn't typical of my role, but they had concerns about the contractor that was on site. In my inspections and in my visits and conversations, the contractor had moved here from another state, didn't really understand how we build things in Tennessee, right? So every state they do some different things. Out in California, for example, on every cabinet, they have these hangers and they hang them off hangers instead of going right into the stud where we drill through the cabinet into the stud, most with our cabinet installs here. So that was some of the concern, is the contractor just didn't understand some of the differences. And then when it came to under cabinet lighting, they hadn't done much of it and they didn't really prepare for it. There was just so many issues that kept going on and on. This is an inexpensive process for this homeowner. And if you've ever been through a kitchen or bath remodel, it's not quick. Typically 6 to 8 weeks to get your custom cabinets in. Once your custom cabinets come in, we got to count, we got to inventory, we got to go through everything. And then once that process starts, depending on the size of your crew, it can be, a few days to a few weeks, depending on what you're getting done in the home. One of the things we were doing in the home was opening up a wall. Well, when you open up a wall, you got to have the correct size header. You got to have an engineer come out to make sure the LVL that you put in is correct. It can load support the house to make sure that there's no issues. All these things were being overlooked by the contractor. And the customer just got frustrated, and to the point where they just said, hey, I want to walk away. When you have somebody's kitchen completely ripped apart and there's nothing in it, and the walls are cut up, and they say they want to walk away, in my opinion, you got to do what you got to do to take care of the customer. So I offered a sizable discount that would allow us to make it right. I wanted to bring in a different crew and get it done, because for me, getting it done and getting it done correctly has always been the most important part of any job when it comes down to it. And at the end of it, when I let everybody know that we were going to give them, about a fifth or quarter of their money back, I once again got my hand slapped and told that's not the way we operate. We shouldn't be giving discounts because we did everything we were supposed to do. And while we did do everything we were supposed to do, we took a 3-week install and turned it into an 8-week install. When you do that, our customers necessarily do compensation. Not all the time. Not every time. I don't believe that. But they are due an apology. They are due get it done correctly, build it to last. So let's talk about the name of the podcast and kind of where that came up from. I'd be lying if I didn't say I used AI and put in AI a few prompts of what I was doing and what I wanted to do. And it kicked out Built to Last. And why it kicked that out, I believe, is the way I operate and what it means to me. Everything that we do, try to do to the best of our ability. If we're going to build something, if we're going to build a cabinet for our customer, which we do quite often, we're going to build it the correct way. We're going to use wood glue. We're going to use the correct screws. We're going to use cut correct miters. Everything's going to be straight, square, and level. That's what Built Last means to me. It means anything that I build, I'm going to build to the best of my ability, and I'm going to make sure that it lasts the lifetime of the product that it can be. So Built to Last podcast, the guest that we're having on here, it's about this podcast is directed towards the consumer. I see a lot of these podcasts where it's, business to business. How do you become a better businessman in the trades? The trades is one of the few industries that's, while it's affected by AI is not going to take our jobs. We still need skilled labor. We still need people who can drywall, who can fix things. And Built to Last is going to bring you those individuals who do this for a living. Quite a few of the people we bring on here, our businesses overlap. We do some roof repair. I have a roofer. We do painting. I have a painter coming on. I'm a handyman. I'm good at a lot of things. These guys are masters of what they do. These guys and gals are masters of what they do. That's what we want to bring to the consumer, is education on how to make an informed decision when hiring somebody within the trades. We're going to expand this past that. We're going to go into lifestyle. We're going to go into insurance and all the other categories that you can think of when you think of something built to last, right? Contracts, we might get into that. So we have a good amount of people that we want to bring on to help with educating the normal consumer. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Really excited to get this started and to be doing a podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe, follow us on all the socials, and I look forward to seeing you next week.